All right, guys, we're back. Sorry I've taken so long. Just been kind of preoccupied with other things, but definitely excited to be back here and talking to you guys and just kind of keeping this dialogue going. Came back with positive feedback, which is awesome. And people generally liked it. So even if there's only a few of us watching, if you guys tell me you like it, I'm just gonna kind of keep telling my story and, hopefully it's beneficial in some capacity. And yeah, that's really kind of what the point of this is for me, just to kind of, shed light on kind of my experiences. In no way am I an expert, and also in no way am I trying to portray myself as an expert. I'm just a guy who did a thing that's working, and I just want to, I guess share my my wins and my losses with you guys, just to kind of help you guys kind of on your own journey to maybe not make the mistakes that I made, or maybe use the hacks that I was able to use as well. So that's kind of what it is. So yeah, let's get into it. So yeah, I guess in my first video, I initially just spoke about the general process and kind of like, I guess told you guys the long, short story of kind of like how everything went down. So now I guess what I'll start to do is each video I'll try to go like step by step. So in this video, I'm kind of thinking I'll kind of really speak about the structure of it, like first deciding how we were going to structure our operation. So yeah, initially it was based off of the ghost kitchen model. And for those who don't know, the ghost kitchen model is when you rent a commercial kitchen, leverage a brand, create a brand, put it online on like delivery apps like DoorDash, Give the Dishes, Ritual, Ambassador, Uber Eats. And yeah, and people can just order it off the apps. Like in the ideal world, they've like seen your marketing, or they've seen you on Instagram, or they've like heard about you, maybe even on TikTok or kind of all these other social media platforms. And then when they see you on the platform, like you kind of jump out at them and they order. And then in the true sense of a ghost kitchen, usually they're kind of like in like random locations. Like customers wouldn't actually be able to go there to pick up, and then the drivers would pick up the food and deliver to the customers. But so yeah, I learned about that, and then I kind of like did my own hybrid, which was still run the commercial kitchen, still create the brand, still try to create the notoriety, but also allow for customers to be able to pick it up curbside. So just basically find a kitchen that's like still in the downtown area that can still be accessed via curbside pickup. Securing our first kitchen took some time. Definitely had to ask a bunch of people. Yeah, I was finally able to find someone to help us secure our first kitchen that we got. Came in there with actually my consultant to kind of just like survey the equipment that they had and kind of just see what we may need to bring in ourselves and whatnot. Luckily, our first kitchen kind of already had most of the equipment that we needed. So at that point, we didn't need to purchase any. So maybe I think it's like also something to kind of I guess keep in mind is like our situation is a bit different than what may be happening now if you're starting now, because we were starting right at the beginning of COVID when all the restaurants were shutting down, and kind of it was kind of an unprecedented time. So no one really knew what was going on. People like didn't know how long things would be closed for, etc. So there was definitely way more vacancies available and kind of way more flexibility. Whereas now that we're kind of getting back to normalcy, situations might change a bit, but people are, obviously over the past years, people have been made aware of like kind of all the different hybrids that are going on. So it's still definitely available, but basically what I'm saying is it's not as, you might not get as a great position as we had at the time. So yeah, so we found the kitchen. And then the next step I would say is really just kind of like ensuring that your infrastructure is in place in terms of like making sure your corporation is registered. Yeah, but basically a lot of like that, the initial things involved in starting a business, because at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's a business. You want to make sure you have you're incorporated. You want to make sure you're registered. You want to make sure your branding is also, everything is kind of incorporated. Everything is yours, so that once you start to hit the ground running and not really hit with these kind of issues, you also want to make sure you have really good lawyers or like a legal team around, just to kind of also help you in terms of like contracting agreements, kind of lease agreements, stuff like that. Because like anything, it's like things you might not perceive to be or imagine would be an issue can be an issue, and as long as if you have good representation, then you're always going to be in a good place. So definitely knew I wanted it to be a ghost kitchen. So then I guess after you secure a place, it's really about creating the menu. So then I started working with, like I said, my consultant, like I mentioned last time, Adrian Forte. And I guess from a business owner standpoint, kind of what you want to do is if you come from the culinary space already, then obviously you can most likely create the recipes yourself. If you come from the standpoint of a consumer, instead of you thinking you can cook yourself or whatever, it's probably better to have a consultant with you. I personally really don't cook at all, like barely anything. So I wasn't gonna attempt to fool myself into thinking that I could craft these recipes. I definitely knew what I liked, and I can definitely tell you what tastes good, and kind of like it can craft it from that standpoint as a consumer, as to like what I like. So reach out to Adrian. I had known him in passing for some years, and had definitely had a lot of respect for what he had done in the culinary space, from Dirty Bird Chicken and Waffle to AF1 Caribbean Canteen. And he was definitely just known in my community as a guy who had been killing it in the culinary space like since we were young. So reached out to him and kind of had some questions for him. He let me know that he was able to do consulting, brought him on to consult, and then we kind of went from there. And basically what we did was we set up a few phone calls to kind of go over what we wanted, set up a day to meet and kind of like go through the motions. We kind of like went through the kitchen, he let me know what utensils I needed to buy. Then after that, kind of helped set me up with a supplier. We then bought all the ingredients, had a few days for testing, to kind of craft our special sauce, to fine tune our burgers. So basically just try to go through everything. So, and this wasn't really that quick of a process. I would say this took about maybe 2 weeks to kind of like go through everything. And I'd probably say maybe 5 to 6 meetups for us to really kind of craft everything. But at the end of the day too, like our menu is fairly short, and that was kind of on purpose. Like I feel like I've been to different places where, they just have and sorry, I'm a bit sick, but they just have like an extensive menu, like so many items. And really kind of my approach was to try to keep the overhead as low as possible. So it's like, yes, we sell smash burgers, we sell Ghanaian street food, and some desserts. And yeah, we kind of, and obviously some like for the fried chicken as well, but like our menu generally is fairly small. It's about like 6 to 10 items at most. So that way it's like, and all the items kind of are intermingled. So it's like they use kind of the same ingredients. So that way, your overhead is small, and you can kind of just like find different ways to kind of sell the same products, which is like, hopefully can overall benefit your bottom line. So for us, it didn't take too long to kind of, fine tune the menu. After that, we then hired kitchen staff. And the first step is, initially you might think you want to, kind of cold call off of Kijiji and stuff like that. But what I found was initially it was more ideal to reach out to culinary staffing agencies. They have varying levels of expertise in which their staff work at. So kind of like just strategizing, like I would sometimes get a couple, more senior cooks to come in, especially at the beginning, just because I needed them to kind of like be able to learn from Adrian and kind of hit the ground running, but also have a couple beginner cooks, so that way it kind of like evens out. Because usually when you hire from agencies, they add in their agency fee, which kind of makes it like a bit more, definitely more expensive. You feel their impact. But it's worthwhile because, especially for me at the beginning, just as a business owner with no experience in this space and really in hiring, I kind of wanted to just go with a reputable company that kind of had already vetted their staffs and their cooks and their experiences. So yeah, hired the cooks, brought them in for a few days prior to our grand opening to kind of go through the menu, to learn from Adrian, to kind of meet me, to meet the team, to meet the front of house team, for all of us to kind of like go through the motions a little bit. Yeah, so basically once you've hired the staff, you kind of then need to figure out like the workflow, like kind of how's everything gonna work, like where are the tablets, where are the printers, like getting someone in to make sure the Wi-Fi is okay. I think really the thing is just kind of like the workflow. It's like how is this all gonna operate? For us, it was like we had maybe spent like the first like week kind of like going through the massive kinks and just kind of seeing like what occurred, where the holes were, and kind of where to move things, how to move maybe this table closer so it's closer to the kitchen, or kind of just restructure things, especially in a space that you're not creating or what's it called, renovating. If you're in a space that already exists, you kind of just need to figure out what positioning in that space works best for you and is best for the team's workflow. So that's kind of what we did in that situation. Where we occupy now is definitely much more congruent to like our own space, and we'll be able to like mold it a bit more. But I'm just talking about kind of going in an initial space that you kind of have no control over. You want to kind of oversee your workflow. And then what was the next challenge? Also something I forgot to mention also too, just make sure you have like payroll in place. There's payroll companies you can hire. Also, getting an accountant is also very important. Make sure you get an accountant. I think that's very arguably one of the most important pieces to ensuring that you kind of aren't really just like running in place, because your accountant will let you know, especially if there's so many things happening, like orders from various platforms, so money coming in from various platforms, money going out to different distributors, like you're paying people. Initially when we first started, it was just kind of like I was paying my staff via like e-transfer, which isn't the best, because then you can't really track the taxes and you can't really do the T4s and all that stuff, and you're not really a legitimate business at that point. So very quickly got an accountant, and then he kind of like helped structure everything and like got us in a proper payroll, with a proper payroll company. So now like all the staff get bi-weekly paychecks, like remittance for taxes and like T4s, and like now it's like a legitimate, or like after the first like month or so, it was basically a legitimate business, fully flowing that way. So it's like, especially too when you bring on new staff, you want to make sure that your business is up to snuff with all businesses, so they don't feel like what's going on in this place is weird, so you want to make sure that all your structures are in place. Hiring is proper, payroll is proper, everyone just kind of feels like this is a legitimate place. So yeah, kind of outside of that, taking a different step now is really just the importance of customer service. I feel like at the beginning, since we were very new to this, like we had like a bunch of different issues, whether orders were taking a long time, or especially for example, our first couple days, we didn't really have even printers yet. So like there's a bunch of mistakes with different like orders. Maybe somebody wanted this, but they got that, kind of stuff like that. And really just from the beginning is really just kind of like, leveling with the person and kind of just really understanding their complaint, and kind of just, just trying to find a way to mitigate the mistakes that were made, and try to ensure in a way that like will ensure the customer will come back. I'll even fast forward to like, even I would say more recently, because I guess back in those days, it's like obviously things are very new, but now it's like we've been here for a while. People kind of expect a certain level of excellence from us. So yeah, so in terms of customer service, is like, for example, like obviously there's always going to be a room for like human error, because there aren't robots making the food. There's actual people making the food. So maybe ever so often might be a slight error in terms of like somebody forgets a pickle or something like this, something like that, and like when a customer brings it to your attention, or maybe an item was forgotten in a bag and somebody got the delivery and they wanted like a chocolate milk but it's not there. Obviously it's super annoying to like order something on delivery, be anticipating it, and it comes in like something's missing. But like I said, human error, sometimes that does happen. Obviously we take steps to ensure it happens less, but sometimes things do happen. It's a numbers game. So yeah, but really it's just kind of like, ensuring that like when the customer brings it to your attention, you really just know how to properly handle it. You kind of just like listen to the issues they have, apologize kind of for the discrepancy, and just kind of ask them like, so like kind of what can we do to kind of make this right, kind of use whatever terminology works for you, but really kind of just get to the point of like, thank you for bringing a problem. Thank you for bringing this issue to my attention. We're sorry about that. How can we kind of continue to keep you as a valued customer? And usually kind of what helps is whether it's a discount, I guess rebate, kind of on Uber Eats, they allow you to like pay like whether it's $5, $10, $13 back to somebody, or for us, we also offer kind of gift cards. So sometimes if an issue occurs, we offer a gift card, and people kind of are very appreciative to that, because it's like, especially if you respond timely and you generally show that like it's like you care about what they're bringing to you. And then obviously not every time you need to give a gift card or give some sort of payment, but generally it's like it's a good thing to do, because it's like people respect that, and they're gonna come back. It's something that I do too as well, to ensure customer service, especially because we're a new company. And it's like when you're a new company in any industry, it's extremely important that the company voice be a unified voice. And in bigger companies, it's a bit easier to kind of like have like kind of HR on hand, and kind of have like these like coaches on hand to really kind of like spread the word of the company voice and kind of like have this cohesion. But in like scenarios like this that are kind of a bit more bootstrapped, or kind of a bit more yeah, kind of not really like that. It's really just, I found myself better to just be the one overseeing kind of like the company voice, because at the end of the day, it's like your company. Like if any issues arise, it's on you, you know, positive or negative. So you really kind of have to really just kind of wear that crown. So all kind of what I do personally is we have a business phone that is connected to a cell phone, and all customer orders. I mean, sorry, all customer phone calls, all the delivery apps, like kind of anything that's kind of like it goes to that phone, and I have that phone with me. So if people call in for phone orders, I'll accept that phone call, kind of like respond like, "Hey, hello, Auntie Lucy's Burgers, how can I help you?" And kind of take the order. Then I'll relay it to the cashiers or whoever's working in the kitchen. They make the order, and then the customer picks it up. So we kind of have that workflow. But and then if there's also customer issues, I then hear the issue and I'm able to deal with it, kind of how I see best fit. You know, obviously there's a time where in the near future we will have a phone in the location for this, but currently, while I still have the bandwidth, I answer all the phone calls, because it's just like, you know, at the end of the day, I'll have the final answer. So it's kind of just easier for the customer if they speak directly to the person who can kind of give the final say so. Because how many times do you have an issue with, you know, any product that you might purchase, and you call in and you talk to somebody, and then like they don't really know what's happening, and they don't really know kind of what to say to you, and then you get frustrated, then you're like, I hate this company, you know. So it's like, but usually these companies have, you know, way bigger funding that they can kind of go through these motions with new customers, whereas like a new company, it's like you want to maintain as many customers as you can, and you really want to eliminate any situation, as many situations as possible where you could lose customers. So customer service is the most important thing. So yeah, so being the one to answer the phone and to kind of like be the face of that is super important, I found.